What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching the Road to TF5. This is just a web series we're talking about Transformers 5. This is episode number 35, and before I begin this episode, I just want to give a big shout out to Fixter Films, fixterfilms.com, a group of dedicated Transformers fans who are working on their very own Transformers fan film. And that fan film is called Transformers Dark Before Extinction, a story set 2 years after the events of Transformers Dark of the Moon. And they are working on something very, very special, and they need your support. So head over to fixterfilms.com, hit that like button, like their Facebook page, and also share the page to bring more awareness to what they're doing. I think what they're doing is really, really awesome. Keep up the good work. Aaron Fixter, John Brock, Scott Ellis, Lucy Norton, you guys are awesome for working on this. And keep up the great work, and good luck to your production. All right? Moving on, let's talk about Transformers 5. And what is going on with Transformers 5? Well, in the previous episode, it was officially announced that Michael Bay, the director of the last 4 Transformers films, is back to direct Transformers 5. And while promoting his latest film, 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, he was doing an interview with Collider.com. And after talking about 13 Hours, he decided to ask about Transformers 5 and what can we expect to see. And what did Michael Bay say? He said that he couldn't tell us anything. He couldn't tell us anything at all. In fact, he was going to go the J.J. Abrams route for Star Wars The Force Awakens, where he did a really great job in keeping everything hush-hush. And he decided that that's the route he wants to do. Whether or not he's going to really be able to pull that off, who knows? Because I think a lot of the times he lets things slip. Accidentally or intentionally, doesn't matter. Somehow he just lets things slip because sometimes his excitement gets the best of him. But anyways, he's not going to tell us anything, or at least he didn't tell us anything in that interview. So what is there to talk about, really? Well, what I'm here to talk about is to tell you guys about the one thing that they need to change to make Transformers 5 better than the previous 4 things. Now, when you read the comments in any YouTube video or any Facebook post that has to do with Michael Bay directing Transformers, you'll see a lot of mixed comments, especially a lot of negative comments. And they're going to list a whole bunch of things that they would want changed for the films. Like, for example, the corny dialogue, the pissing jokes, the crude humor, the fact that there's hot women instead of normal, average-looking women in the movie. You know what I'm saying? And how it feels like a car ad, and how it's all like pro-military and all that stuff. They're gonna tell you that there's so many things that they would want changed. I personally don't think that if you changed all these things, it would make the movie that much better. I mean, sure, it'll make it better, but it won't change it into an outstanding film versus what it is right now, okay? In people's opinion, in the general opinion of things, all right? But there's one thing, in my honest opinion, that they need to change that will make Transformers 5 a great film. And that one thing is the villain. That's all it is. In fact, you can leave all that stuff that I've mentioned, you know, the pissing jokes, the crude humor, the fact that he likes to cast models instead of actors, the American patriotism. You can keep all that stuff, but as long as you make an improvement with the villain, it can be one hell of a better film. You can keep all the terrible writing from Aaron Kruger, and as long as you change the villain and do something about the villain, it will still do the film, or it'll still do Transformers a little bit of justice. Enough justice to actually make the movie that much better. And I'll tell you why, okay? Let's look at the first Transformers film back in 2007. Megatron appeared in the last act of the film. The Decepticons were not seen as prominent villains. They were only seen when it was time to fight. That's the only time. Other than that, You don't really see them as characters. They're background characters. And who killed Megatron? It was the humans. From these jets that we didn't even care about, okay? It was just these Raptor pilots who just came out of nowhere, started blasting missiles, and then they shot him down, and eventually Sam Witwicky used the cube and killed Megatron. That is a bit of a cop-out. Megatron should have been killed by Optimus Prime. Megatron should have been featured at the beginning of the movie, and then we see him scheming with the other Decepticons, and then they have their final attack. That would have been a much better film. In fact, it would have made me give the film a higher score. It would actually make the Rotten Tomatoes score even higher. Not that a lot of people care, but I'm just saying, alright? Now let's look at Revenge of the Fallen. The Fallen is the big bad boss in the film. Of course, there's Megatron, but he had his moment. And Megatron was essentially, he ended up being a secondary bad guy, alright? Starscream, you know, he was just there flying around doing his thing, but there really wasn't a whole lot of Decepticons. Once again, they're just there when it's time to fight. As for the Fallen, mysterious character, they talk about him, they bring about a lot of intrigue, but at the end of the day, he just got owned by Optimus Prime, and we didn't get to see a whole lot of him. They make him sound like he's a badass character, but he really isn't anything at all. He just gets completely owned in a really, really physical way. Just punch, spear, rip out his face, boom, done. All right, so weak villain. Not enough villain screen time. Third villain. Now here's where it starts getting better. Sentinel Prime. We didn't think he was a bad guy at first, but then he double crosses the good guys, kills Ironhide, and that in itself makes him a much better villain already, because now there's more depth, there's background. But how was Sentinel Prime taken out at the end? He wasn't really even taken out by Optimus Prime. He was taken out by Megatron, who, just like in the previous films, doesn't even really appear for the rest of the film. And we didn't even see that truck mode really do anything. Why was he even that truck mode? It didn't make a whole lot of sense. And so when you look at it, Sentinel Prime, he could have been a really, really great villain. But at the end of it all, it wasn't a mano fight between Optimus Prime and Sentinel Prime. It was, once again, cheapened out because Megatron decided to step in, and then even when Optimus had a moment to fight Megatron, that wasn't even really a fight. That was an execution. So you felt kind of let down. You felt that you felt empty inside when it was all over, because you know what? Optimus Prime really took a beating. I mean, it really felt like that they were up against impossible odds, but Megatron turned it around easily. So, missed opportunity. And now let's talk about Age of Extinction. What happened there? Lockdown seemed like the next best thing. He appears at the beginning of the film. He appears every so often throughout the movie. And he actually seemed like a formidable opponent who's actually scary. But what they did with him was, it was. I will tell you that he is the best villain in the 4 films that we've seen so far. But the only problem that I have with this villain is that, just like the first film, he gets taken out by humans. He gets taken out with the help of humans. I wouldn't say that he gets taken out completely by humans, but he gets taken out with the help of humans because of you got the Mark Wahlberg gang helping out. I was hoping for such a formidable opponent that the only guys that could take him out was a bunch of Autobots, not just one Autobot, but several Autobots. But they didn't even really give us that. Bumblebee was no match for him. Which proved that Lockdown was pretty strong. But Optimus Prime got owned, and the only one that could save him was humans. And I feel like once you bring in the humans into the final battle, you really just screw things up. So they had a good thing going on with Age of Extinction, but they screwed it up at the end. And what was up with Galvatron? You introduce him, he has like a pretty weak battle with Optimus Prime. We don't even really see him transform, and then he's gone for the rest of the film. You just see him walking around in Hong Kong, and he has a couple of seconds of screen time here and there, and then he says that he will be back because he is reborn, and that's it for Galvatron. So in all 4 films, so many opportunities to give Megatron the ability to have a great battle with Optimus Prime was missed for every single film. Every single film. All 4 films. We're talking about at least 8 hours of screen time. All right? 8 hour, like when you combine all 4 films, you probably have 9 hours, right? 9 hours of the running time. But Megatron was never, ever prominently featured. So, had they fixed this about all 4 of these films, it could have been a lot better. So what you got to do is you got to improve the way the villains are. You got to have the villains have more screen time so that we see them scheming, we see them planning out, we see them like we understand why they want to do what they want to do. All right, not just focus on humans, not just focus on Autobots, focus on the villains. The villains are, after all, pretty cool. All right, they're Decepticons. And then after that, you have a final battle with the main villain, but it doesn't involve humans. Don't let the main villain get taken out by humans. Don't let the main villain get taken out with the help of humans. Get the humans out of that picture. Have a strong villain. That's all they got to do. All right? That is the one thing, the absolute one thing that they can improve that will make the Transformers films so much better. So I'm hoping that the gang over at the writing room with Akiva Goldsman and everybody else, I hope they got that. I hope that they looked at all 4 films and they identified that problem, and that is the lack of a strong villain. If they identified that, or if they were able to identify that, then we are already on a much better track. All right? So like I said, this is the one thing that they need to change for Transformers 5 that will actually put Transformers in the right direction, and that is getting the villain right. In all 4 films, the villain has been weak. Lockdown was the best one, but Lockdown would have been way better had he not get taken out with the help of humans, and also if they even get rid of Galvatron, it's almost the same film. Galvatron really doesn't do a whole lot in the movie, so if you leave him out, put more Lockdown screen time, would have been better. Anyways, what do you guys think about that? I don't think it was, the writing was bad, from Aaron Kruger, but had they done more stuff with the villains, I think it still would be an improvement. That's all they got to do. Change the villain. So with that being said, who would you like to be the villain in Transformers 5? Let me know in the comment section below. This is all about the villain now. So there's a lot of villains out there. It could be anybody. Let me know who you think should be the villain and what they could do with that villain. And there you have it. That's all I got to say in this video. Now that Michael Bay is done with 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, he can now focus on Transformers 5. And from this point on, we're going to be getting more news and updates about Transformers 5. It'll be a little bit slow at this point, because from now as it goes along, but it will pick up as production progresses. They should start filming in spring or in late spring or summertime if they follow the same schedule as the previous 4 films. As long as they do that, then we are going to get treated to a lot of good stuff, from filming to the eventual toy leaks and eventually to the marketing, which it will be later this year, like late this year or beginning with Super Bowl. So there you have it. Like I said, that's all I got to say in this video. This is all very exciting. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name's Alex Yu, and once again, like I said, go over to fixterfilms.com, hit the like button on the Facebook page, and show some support. Peace. Film. So that's why I'm slightly disappointed that we're not seeing a different vision, but a part of me is also excited. I